For me, really, the idea was that the landing cards themselves represent the arrival of these Windrush pioneers, and then we have another cabinet that contains maps showing the onward addresses that the 1,027 people went on to. And then finally, we have this cabinet, which represents settlement. This is the people who decided to stay, and for me, this is the natural progression of the journey of the Windrush pioneers.
Usually, when you just talk about Windrush, we see the archetypal Pathé pictures, Caribbean men coming down the gangplank. My work has been inspired by the other people that were on the ship, but also by the dressmaker, Evelyn Wauchope, who was a stowaway, and she's actually one of the landing cards. So I've been able to look at the landing cards and find other dressmakers, find other tailors, find other artisans, find other designers, and none of that history is discussed when they talk about the people that came on the Windrush and then subsequently would arrive on other ships.
I've had people say to me it really transports them back to the front rooms of their parents and grandparents when they were children. But for me, I see pieces of evidence. I see doorways into the past. For some people, particularly Windrush as a ship, as an emblematic ship, so many of certainly the men who came on the Windrush didn't know whether they were going to stay, didn't know if this was the place for them. All they knew was that a ship had arrived, half-price tickets were offered, and I think the information we discover about people bringing all their worldly possessions with them, it tells us a different story. It tells us a story of settlement, of homemaking, of moving away. And a much more emotional story, I think, than simply, a young adventurous man sort of seeking a change of scenery.
So my mum had a big blue suitcase, but she also had a big, massive blue trunk. And in that trunk came all her other worldly goods. So I recreated the suitcase as a way of carrying all the artefacts, so I can set up a mobile exhibition.
To hear that people came with all their worldly possessions, I think, is brings such meaning to this migration movement. And installations like this are full of those sorts of stories, which just haven't been heard before, and it embodies those stories into these objects in a really special way.